Hey, let's talk about Detective Comics number 1000, the big anniversary book from DC Comics. This is only the second comic I know of to hit issue 1000, the other one being Action Comics, just a couple of months ago. And like the Action Comics, this one is sort of an oversized, all-star anthology, right? A lot of good writers and artists on different short stories that there's nothing really groundbreaking or super exciting as far as the story goes, but they're all sort of digging into various elements of the mythos, some more successfully than others. So there were a bunch of covers to this thing. There were, let's see, many covers, including the Scott Williams and Jim Lee wraparound cover, and then they did sort of a cover for each of the decades of Batman, which I think is pretty cool, especially since they got really good, appropriate comic artists for those. Steve Rude doing the 30s variant is a great choice. Bruce Timm on the 40s variant is a no-brainer. All of these sort of echoing classic Batman and Detective covers. I bought the 50s variant that was available at my local shop, the Scruffy Nerd Herder in Eureka. Shout out. I bought it because, I like the goofy Batman of the 50s. It's got, like, the Zebra Batman and Batmite and the Giant Batman and the Mummy Batman and Rainbow Batman and all the crazy Batman characters from that era that were just sort of like a fun, goofy time to read Batman. There's the 60s variant by Steranko. Looking pretty cool, I guess. Bernie writes in 70s variant cover. Obviously, this was done before Bernie died last year. Frank Miller 80s variant cover. I mean, that's a great choice. Obviously, it's not my favorite cover. He's got a version of Batman these days that's looking a little rough. That's all right. Tim Sale did the 90s variant cover. Jock did the 2000s variant cover. There's a 2010 cover by Greg Capullo. Hey, there's a blank cover, in case you just don't like a lot of art in your comic covers. Then there was the Midnight Release vertical variant cover, and the Greg Capullo Convention Gold variant cover, and the Jim Lee Convention Silver cover, and the retailer and variant covers. And just, you know what? This is a special issue, so some extra covers are okay, but they really kind of went overboard. Of course, they have these retailer variants, so any comic shop, pretty much for any comic for Marvel and DC, can say, hey, I want to commission a print run and print a few extra thousand with my own cover on it. And they provide their own artwork usually. And then they get to put their name on it and sell it as an exclusive through their store. So we see stuff from Torpedo and Graham Cracker and various different companies, many different companies. There's just too many covers here, right? This is kind of a cash grab, especially on a book that's $9.99. To expect somebody to buy even one additional cover is asking for a lot of money. So look, I'm not even done. There's more covers. There's still more covers. I'm still scrolling down this list of covers, and I'm kind of disgusted by it. Okay, so let's forget the covers. By the way, this is from comicburst.com. They had a nice rundown of the various covers, so I want to make sure to attribute that to them. But let's talk about the comic itself. The 10 stories that I counted, there was one by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. One by Kevin Smith and Jim Lee, which was terrible. Just Kevin Smith writes semi-decent movies sometimes, and I like his commentary about comics, but when he writes comics, geez, oh man, is the guy schmaltzy. It's just overly emotional, just a stupid way. I don't know how else to describe it. There's a story by Paul Dini, which sort of adds a new element to the mythos of Batman. Without spoiling it, it's sort of about a henchman in the Batman universe and where he actually comes from and why he exists. There's a story by Warren Ellis and Becky Cloonan, which was interesting. I love Warren Ellis. I've always loved him. But occasionally he writes these stories that you can tell he just sort of knocked it out It doesn't feel like there was a lot of anything put into it. There's a bit of an emotional moment in it that I enjoyed. But that was it. Denny O'Neil and Steve Epting did a very interesting one relating to Batman's origins in Crime Alley. Christopher Priest wrote a story illustrated by Neil Adams. That was pretty fun. My favorite one of the book had to be the Bendis and Malieve combo with Penguin. I think this is the first time Bendis has written Batman. I don't remember another issue of Batman. Maybe he has, but this is the first Batman story I read, and it's Bendis is perfect Batman territory, right? The sort of real crime feeling to it. This one is a little weird, and we're going to go into it in a minute. There was a story by Jeff Johns and Kelly Jones that was schmaltzy. Anything that brings in the whole Batman family and how the Robins and Batgirls and all the associated characters of the Batman universe are such a family, and they're just a family, and they stay together. No, you know what? They're weird vigilantes, like broken, weird people. They're not a normal family. So all the times when they portray them as this sort of like, dysfunctional, or not even that dysfunctional, they're just sort of like joking and laughing all the time, doesn't really work too well for me. There's a story by James Tinian and Alvaro Martinez, who I'm not really familiar with. I haven't read any of their stuff before. It was okay. And then finally it ends with, there's some pinups by various artists, and then a story by Peter J. Tomasi and Doug Mankey that sort of brings in this brand new character. That's the other thing that they're trying to do here. Well, while it is like just small, disconnected stories, they're also trying to drop the first appearance of a new character, the Arkham Knight, which is going to be an upcoming Batman storyline that nobody's going to care about, and it's going to be totally forgotten. It's yet another different hero comes to Gotham City, blah, 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 Azrael. I don't know. You can name a bunch of different ways that story's unfolded in the past, and it's never been that exciting. But let's talk about my favorite story. Let's look at Detective Comics 1000, and what better way to check it out than to check out DC Comics' online comics reading interface. Now, you may or may not know this, but I think digital comics stink for the most part. Not a great way to read comics, in my opinion. Especially in the early days of digital comics, they just weren't that great. I'm going to show you here how their interface works, and it's not bad. I enjoy it, but there is just nothing that compares to the physical feel of a comic in your hand, the ability to open it up to a double-page spread, lay it flat. Maybe it's just that I'm an old dude, and these are my memories, but paper all the way, digital. Good for reviews, though. So I'm going to go through the whole story. I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm not going to spoil it. The idea is it's kind of Old Man Batman, right? Not Old Man Logan, but Old Man Batman. It's set sometime in the future. It's got the Penguin. It's got Bruce Wayne. It actually really reminds me of the opening scene of From Hell, because it's sort of like two men on the shore talking about the past. And it's Penguin talking to a wheelchair-bound Batman. And the conceit here is that Penguin reveals that he's known Batman's secret identity for years. And this is quite a Bendis thing to try to do and to write it. And actually, the way they describe it, it makes perfect sense. How did the Penguin figure it out? Basically, he thought about it. Right, so they got together with a bunch of villains. They were talking about who could Batman be? Who could it possibly be? It's Lex Luthor. It's the person who owns the Daily Planet. Blah blah blah. Or could it be Bruce Wayne? That's when Penguin's light goes on, and he's like, "Yeah, Bruce Wayne," and he just thinks about it. Bruce Wayne. Yeah, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne. Let's do a little research. Oh, his parents were killed, huh? Bruce Wayne. And he figured it out. Right? This is very Bendis. This is such a Bendis way to do it. And I thought the reveal was great. Maleev is just a master of the art form. I think he's so awesome. I'm not going to spoil the end of the story here, but the whole idea is, Old Man Penguin has revealed to Old Man Wayne he's known for years, and that means that he won. And, right, but we know Batman, and Batman always wins, so we know it can't be that simple. We get to see the story. I'm not gonna ruin it, but I don't know. I really liked it. I like the artwork. I like the Penguin as a character, and I want to read more of Brian Michael Bendis writing the Penguin. Right, that excites me. I'm one of the few people who's really excited by Bendis' return, move from Marvel to DC. I think he kind of ran out of ideas and things that he wanted to do with Marvel characters. And while he always said over the years that he was a Marvel guy, he didn't like DC necessarily, those characters didn't speak to him the same way, there is no doubt that Batman someday will come into the hands of Bendis. Right now it's Superman. I think Batman was maybe too obvious to put Bendis right onto, but I am pretty darn sure we're going to see some awesome Bendis action on Batman at some point in the future. And I'm really looking forward to it. So anyway, that's my review of Action Comics number 1000. So if you liked it, check out some of my other reviews. You might see them up there somewhere. You can click on them, check them out. Please like and subscribe. That's what I'm supposed to say. If you want to see more, add some comments down there. What did you think of Detective Comics number 1000? Did you read it? Are you going to read it? Let me know. We'll be back next time with something completely different, I think.